Hi, my name is Mike. Welcome to my vlog about football in general and Burnley FC in particular. A vlog that this week read an article by one of the country's foremost data analytics guys about 5 substitutes and its effect on football over the last few years. And he concluded that this was an advantage to the biggest and richest clubs. Well done. I could have told you that, as could any fan of any particular football club in the last 5 goddamn years. Anyway, Clarets played Arsenal on Saturday, a 2-0 defeat at Turf Moor in a game that kind of sort of happened, but was kind of alright. I want to start off by sort of saying that Arsenal were probably the best football team that has ever existed. Their manager is an absolute genius that combines the very, very best tactical qualities of Pep Guardiola, Sir Alf Ramsey and Alex Ferguson with a bunch of players who are so good that they kind of relegate Pele and Maradona and Messi to their reserves. And if you think I'm being sarcastic because Arsenal fans are incredibly touchy if you even slightly say something negative about their team, well done. I mean, I put something on Blue Sky about a couple of things, and then the club posted that video of Calafiori diving and getting the free kick, and you wouldn't have thought they won, to be honest. I mean, Jesus, if this is what they're like when they've won, what they're like when they've lost. I mean, ultimately, Arsenal are going to be the champions. That was a performance, and I don't mind saying this, I don't like Arsenal, by the way. That was another thing I got. If you don't like Arsenal, why don't you just say so instead of hitting it? I've been fairly open, I don't like Arsenal. Never have, as a club, because they're a bunch of hypocrites. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, or I might not, can't be asked. But no, I saw what I think of the champions, and they made a champions performance as far as I'm concerned. It's, not the most pulse racing of teams, but modern football means you don't win titles by being, open and spectacular football. When was the last Premier League winning team that kind of you really wanted to get up and watch just play football? Leicester was more about the story. City have been monotonous. Liverpool kind of ground their way to it last year. I mean, maybe the first kind of Guardiola seasons, the early Guardiola seasons, where you had Kevin De Bruyne and you had Sergio Aguero and David Silva playing at the top of their game. They were a good team to, wonderful team to watch. But you don't generally win titles and Premier League titles by being that kind of spectacular team. That's just not the way modern football works. And where Arsenal have really kind of improved is they've kind of toned that skill down. They have incredibly skillful players and allied it to an organisation and a game management and a cynicism, but that was toned down on Saturday. They do the job. They came on Saturday, they had a job to do, they had a plan, they did the job, they stuck to the plan, they walk away with 3 points, they move on. That is something that champions do. And there's only 3 teams that could possibly win the Premier League at the moment. Liverpool are misfiring. I mean, they didn't seem that impressive last year, but then their opposition wasn't really there. Liverpool kind of misfiring. Man City, they won the Champions League 18 months ago. They won the Club World Cup. That is a club that kind of feels like it's completed football and doesn't quite understand why they're still playing games. Arsenal, they have the hunger, they have the plan, they have the players, they have the desire, they have the opportunity, and they are quite clearly going, this is our time. As long as we don't do anything stupid, it's ours. And I have no problem at all with that. That's modern football, like I say. I think we watched the champions, and fair play to them. They did a job on us on Saturday. It's just, this isn't just an Arsenal thing, although they are kind of the worst for it. But the entitlement is kind of like, you can't point out that, they're a little bit bloodless compared to, say, some of the really good Wenger teams or the players the last couple of years. Saka is such a wonderful player. Eze, I've always been a fan of Eze. And they're kind of reined in a little bit by a manager who knows where the line is when it comes to game management, shithousery. cheating, time wasting, whatever you want to fucking call it. Everyone does it. And he knows where the line is, and we saw a little bit of it on Saturday, but not a massive amount, but you still see, and this is the reason I don't like, Arsenal, not in particular, just, the big clubs and the officiating in the Premier League. You saw it with Calafiori. He literally just flings himself to the ground, and the officials give it because it's reflexive. It's just reflexive at this point. That's the advantage. I can throw myself to the ground because I play for a big club. The official's going to give it me, even though it's quite obvious it never happened. Eze tried it in the second half. I jumped up out my seat and let out a volley of swear words because it was just so totally unnecessary. Arsenal were so in command of the game that it didn't really matter. But they still have to do it because, I don't know, you can turn around and say that's the mark of a champion winning team. Maybe. And then you go online and the club posts that little video short on YouTube of the Calafiori incident. And you literally, I know you shouldn't read the comments on YouTube because it's like the most depressing, any idiot is going to be on there. But, did you get the permission from Arsenal to post this? I mean, how entitled do you have to be to think that, to say that to a Premier League football club? I mean, that's genius. And then I posted on Blue Sky. And I just get all this, what about what? What about Esteban and Wary? And Estev's rolling around trying to get our player sent off. First off, there's your entitlement, by the way. First off, that was someone trying to take a shot and have that shot blocked. It was a contact between two players. That's allowed. We are allowed to touch Arsenal players, even if during a game we don't get much chance to freaking do it, because they're just too good. And point two, rolling around trying to get his opponent sent off is something your manager does, not ours. Okay? Just because your manager knows how to play the referee doesn't mean everybody else's does the same thing. But yeah, it was kind of like, Calafiori done this. What about? And then, I got asked twice to look in the mirror. Just look in the mirror at yourself. I mean, Jesus, first off, that's fairly unoriginal. Second off, I do look in the mirror. I know I need a shave, but I still look fucking awesome. Anyway, so, hold on, that got a bit whingy. And I got accused of being whingy last time. I don't care. Anyway, so, Clarets' point of view. Did we play well? I think we played well. I think we played okay. I think we played as well as the opposition wanted to let us play because they were in total control of the game at all times. I thought we played some decent stuff. I was kind of half expecting when I saw the lineup a bit of a rerun of the Liverpool game, stick it all at the back and try and stop Arsenal scoring. But for the opening 15 minutes, 13 minutes until Arsenal scored, we were actually more open than I thought. I thought it was. See, this is the thing. Arsenal are a cynical side. Watch, and if you don't believe me, go watch Arsenal versus Man City, and it's like watching two sets of toddlers. But Arsenal knew exactly what they needed to do. They were going to give us their press is really, really good. They allowed us to have the ball because they knew we were going to do a lot with it. And their press, like I say, whenever we got in any area of danger, they had 2-3 men around the ball and around, one Burnley player. And that is a sign of a really good organised team. So we looked good in non-dangerous places because we weren't allowed to look good in dangerous places. Disappointing opener. I find it funny, again, I'm going to go on the whingy one, but I find it funny that, they basically score a lot of set pieces because they're very, very good at it. Declan Rice can put that ball wherever he wants to do. I just find it ironic that, who was it who led the charge of Dyche Ball, anti-football dinosaur manager, who watches that every week? You're just a bunch of set piece and long ball merchants. Yeah, it was Arsenal, wasn't it? Funny, that's the thing. I'm kind of I'm cursed with the thing that you should never have in football, which is the ability to remember what someone said for a long time. But anyway, so the corner comes in. I didn't think it was a corner at the time, But then someone said actually it was deflected off Walker, and I didn't see that. So yeah, it was a corner. It was over the line. And we kind of screwed up by Dubravka not realising that he had to keep it in play. Gave them the corner, they scored, because ultimately it's not clever. I mean, it's very good. They put it into a place, they flood the area and basically pinball it in. The reason it's so effective was demonstrated really, really well because Declan Rice, and Saka to an extent, but Rice definitely, puts the ball in the right place. And how many Premier League wingers, forwards, players in general, do you see who cannot beat the first man? That's the difference. Rice puts it in a place, in a way, every time that makes the most of the opportunity, and just about every other club does not. So, that's why they're so good at it. And then we had the kind of like the fast break, the counter attack. Walker's on the wrong side of the pitch doing a long throw for some reason. He's not particularly, I'm not saying he's not bad at it, he's just not good at it, but he's completely out of position. And then it's 2 or 3 passes down the other end and a nice cross and finish. Yes, Josh Laurent could have done better, but ultimately this is the other thing as well. That Arsenal side, Arteta has spent over £1 billion building his current Arsenal side. Josh Laurent cost us £500,000 from Stoke. Much as I like Josh Laurent, and 5 at the back, playing that sort of third centre back, I don't think he's bad at it. Ultimately, you could only, he's got limitations, and those limitations are going to get exposed against one of the best teams in European football. So, while you want to go up and shout at him, ultimately, what can you do? You're up against a really, really good opponent. Speaking of Trossard, really quite enjoyed him trying to be quite sneaky with sort of nudges and pushes and kicks at Kyle Walker, and Kyle Walker turning around saying, "I played a decade under Pep Guardiola, mate. You think I don't know how to do sneaky kicks and pushes?" Was it Trossard hits Walker off with a legitimate shoulder? Walker takes one look at him, next opportunity you get, knocks Trossard over to the floor with a legitimate shoulder. And the referees looking at this are going, look, you two are going at it. You're not doing anything nasty. You're not going over the line. You kind of, you're doing it to each other. You're not involving anyone else. Play on. I'm not doing anything about it. And I think that's good officiating. As I say, we can complain about the Calafiori thing and the Di Ferrezi and whatever, but ultimately, that I thought that was decent officiating. Two players are going at it, walking a line. Let's be honest, both players are walking a line, and the ref's going, well, as long as you're not doing anything stupid, you just hang upside of each other. That's fine. No problem with that. As for the rest of the team, Dubravka again brilliant. Esteve, he sometimes he looks like a Rolls Royce, and sometimes he looks like a 23-year-old player who's had less than 20 games in the Premier League. And Saturday was kind of one of them. He's been exposed against Manchester City and Arsenal, but I keep coming back to it. 2 of the best teams in European football. He's 23 years old, less than 20 Premier League games. Of course, he's going to look a little bit exposed against those two teams. Tuanzebe, solid. Not spectacular. As said before, Ekdal, founding member, fan club of his. Tuanzebe, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. I don't think he's done anything. All you want is solid. He gets the job done. That's okay by me. Laurent mentioned Hardman, really like Hardman. Walker, really like Walker. I'm going to leave this sentence just out there. And when's it time to have a conversation about Jane Landy? Just putting that there. I think he's got a little bit of... He's running out of room. He was scoring goals at the start of the season. It's not happening. What else are you doing? Fleming, I looked alright. Midfield, Cullen. Just Cullen against a set of trees in Arsenal. He's going to lose that physical battle. Big Les. Happy with Big Les. Florentino, I really like Florentino. I I couldn't believe I saw some people kind of complaining about Parker's tactics. Oh, we could have been more open. We could have scored. Blah 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 blah. No, we couldn't. You know, Arsenal managed the game just really effectively. 2-0. Yeah, maybe we could have scored. Not. By the way, no one is scoring against this Arsenal team at the moment. But if we had scored, they would have gone up a gear. We'd have lost 4-1, 3-1 instead of 2-0. So you can't really ever go at Parker because ultimately, unlike the Liverpool game where it almost worked and a brain fart stopped us getting a point. Unlike Man United where, officiating stopped us getting a point. What could Parker have done on Saturday against that Arsenal team in that form that would have been better? Nothing. And you can't go at Parker. And I've had a go at Parker for, let's say, his pragmatic approach to tactics. But I didn't have a problem with Saturday. Ultimately it's a free hit. Ultimately, you can be open. Remember, people were complaining about Company being too open, and we shipped 5. We weren't winning that game no matter what because Arsenal are really, really good and in form. You're not going to win. So don't complain about the tactics when the tactics were all right. The game was okay. I mean, Deitch, we think about Deitch against Man City where it just basically just get it over with. The players kept going. We played nice stuff. Edwards was unlucky to hit the post at the last minute. Hannibal came on and didn't look like a red card in waiting. The players performed, and they performed. And I hate using the word limited when I'm talking about players because these players are way better than you can possibly imagine in terms of relationship to ourselves in terms of skill. But against the very best in Europe and some of the world, they look quite limited. You can't blame a player for being limited against that. We don't have the best players in the world. So ultimately, the way I look at it is, I've said before about going, being in the Premier League and just taking the money and run. This is a game where you take the money and run. This is a game that you're going to lose. Just take the whatever £1 million it costs, the Premier League give us for it staging it, and put it towards the bank account for actually the things that matter. Because we don't have that safety net of all the extra revenue that everybody else does. So, this, Man City, whatever, we'll take the cheque, thank you very much. That's all you can do. That's all we can look at these games as. So, yeah, didn't mean to kind of go off on one like that. It's a bit of a one taker, this. There's not going to be much in the way of editing. But, yeah, I think it just kind of shows this is what you're up against. This is why I don't like being in the Premier League, just the sheer sense of entitlement from a group of fans who tend not to be able to enjoy football. I come back to it, the Calafiori thing. They reacted like that. What about? And I'm thinking, if you had a sense of humour, if you had an actual love for football, you'd have looked at that and gone, yeah, we got away with that. That was quite funny. If they'd say, right, that was quite funny, that, then I'd have 1,000,000 times more respect than anyone goes, what about this? What about that? What about this? Oh, Burnley's a shithole. Blah, 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 blah. You've got a crap club. You're going to get relegated. Just, where's your joy? And that's the funny thing. Try and explain to someone. Try and explain to an Arsenal fan or a Man United fan. Try and explain to Mark Goldbridge that I actually quite enjoyed Saturday because I got to watch my team play well against a very, very good footballing side. I wasn't bored. I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. I wasn't disappointed. I just kind of went, had enjoyable 90 minutes, met the people around me as usual, said hello, got my half brother a ticket, he enjoyed it. That's what football's about. It's supposed to be fun, isn't it? It's supposed to be enjoyment. I don't care if we lose 2-0 as long as I get some enjoyment out of it. And that's why I don't think I ever want to be one of the Premier League's top clubs because it just doesn't seem fun. Oh well, till next time, up the Clarets.